Fikki, and I'm the Director of Global Partnerships for the Virtual Reality Augmented Reality Association. And that is a global organization. We have about 50 plus chapters across the world. And one of our largest chapters is actually here in Central Florida as well. In addition to my role, and just to give you an idea of all of the things that modeling and simulation touch, as well as XR, because there's different components of that. Is anybody familiar with XR? Extended reality, like gaming? Gaming? Has anybody ever used the Unity gaming engine or Unreal? Oh, wow, look at that. Right, so these types of technologies touch every part of our world. So when I talk about virtual reality, that's part of XR, right? But there's also use for modeling, simulation, and training in a number of applications. But so my role with the VR area is one of my roles, but I also, with my work, get to support the Space Force Association. Has anybody ever heard of the Space Force, United States Space Force? Just like we have the Air Force and the Army, there's the Space Force. It's our youngest, newest branch of military. They're called the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? That's right. And so Florida falls into the Southeast region, which I'm the Deputy Vice President for the Southeast region of the Space Force Association. And we have a big presence here. And just to give you some insight, so, and Carolina will talk about this, but Central Florida is the simulation center for what I call the world, and a lot of the things that happen here make impact on things all across the globe, and now off planet. So that's another one of my roles. I'm also part of an organization called XR Women, and so it's a women's group and allies that are XR individuals who are interested and professionals. So if there's any ladies in here that are interested in XR or simulation and they want to become a member, you're more than welcome as well. And there's a number of other associations, but there's a really special community here, and Carolina will talk about that, and I'm going to introduce her, that supports this industry. So when you think about my time, I worked at Unity on the government aerospace and defense team. Unity is one of the largest gaming engines in the world. Just one of the tools, right? There's many. There's the Epic Unreal engine as well, right? And there's Resonite and Omniverse and all different types of engines that you can use to make really neat experiences. But my time at Unity, it exposed me to this incredible community of people who are making things, and they work in government, aerospace, and defense, but they're also, on the weekends, working on passion projects for game jams and hackathons. And so these people, they that are in this industry have these different parts of themselves that they get to be part of a really interesting space during the week. And then on the weekends, they're building passion projects, and sometimes those things collide, right? So it's a really neat community here. If you weren't aware of it, you are in a very special place, and there's no other place on earth like Central Florida when it comes to our simulation community that supports all of these things. So as well as the gaming engine being used for things like Nintendo or Candy Crush, it's used to do anything dangerous, expensive, or hard. So like training pilots or launching rockets or creating digital twins or smart city experiences so we can have decision making. And all branches of military, the command for modeling and simulation and training, they are here in Central Florida for all branches. So that's pretty impressive. So I want to give Carolina a couple minutes, but does anybody have any questions or want to share a little bit about what they're working on or their interests is in modeling, simulation, and training? I'd love to hear. Go ahead.
I've been messing around with the real world and different spaces for filmmaking. I visited the what do you call it, virtual environment studio down at Wholesale.
Yes. Yes.
And then you can use that in real time with the camera and actors and do this real-time video space with so
that is super cool. And so what was your name again? Barrett was talking about is using Unreal Engine for filmmaking experiences. And I am a chapter lead for the Unreal Orlando chapter as well, and we have events, and you guys are always more than welcome to be part of those as well. But I would say that Unreal Engine has incredible tools. We actually, just to give you some information, this last year, Epic had their annual developer conference here in Orlando. Did anybody know that? Yeah, so Unreal Engine had their Unreal conference here at the Convention Center. And part of the initiative is that Disney, which you guys are familiar with, Mickey Mouse and Disney's presence here, invested a few $1 billion nearly in Epic Unreal's engine. So wonder what they're making. I'm sure that sounds pretty interesting to you guys. But because of that and the incredible community of developers who are here, and developers are sometimes more technical, sometimes they're artists. So there's a vast ecosystem of different people who contribute. So finding your place in it is up to you to decide. And there's even people who work on the sound. Sound is a huge part of immersive experiences because that's what gives you the real connection, right? The sound can really make the brain think you're really there, right? So, and there's lots of things with scripting and the creative part of it. But what was really neat with that experience is that now, every year on June 3rd, Orlando's county mayor of Orange County, proclaimed Unreal Day. So June 3rd every year is Unreal Day in our community. So next year we'll have a really cool event that's going to highlight our developer community. And if you haven't connected with the Unreal chapter, we have 270 members, which is really large, and we have great support from the Epic team. We do events usually every quarter or so you can become part of that. So that's really special. But there is an Unreal Day in Orlando that's been proclaimed by Mayor Demings, so in Orange County. So that's pretty exciting. Did anybody know about that? It's pretty cool, right? Yeah. So to give you a little bit of background about me, I spent about the first 20 years of my career working in higher education in schools like Orange Technical College, and I understand the great value that they bring for communities. And sometimes, even today, college doesn't always feel like it's the option for every family or every young person, right? We have different obligations, we have realities, we have these dreams and goals, but sometimes what makes sense for our lives. And so I think it's really incredible what the team has put together here at the Orange Technical College, and they stood up a modeling simulation lab. And if you didn't know that, it's pretty exciting news. But this is a great place to dive in, to stoke the curiosity and think about what you want to do next if you decide you want to go on and go to UCF and be part of the Institute for Simulation and Training or one of their programs, or if you want to go on to another university. But it's a great place to start that might be more realistic for the goals that you have. And I think that some of the most successful individuals I have met in our space that I get to interact with on a global stage have come from really unique stories of how they got to where they want to be. And so if you're interested and there's an opportunity, you don't have to know all the answers. I think the first step is to kind of jump in and get involved in the community and find out about the things that could be interesting to you and what things you want to be part of, right? And so if there's any of you that would like to connect with the community, when we do game jams, we have students from 13 through seniors who contribute to these game jams and hackathons in our community that we do around armed forces, and we do it around the healthcare industry and digital twins and smart cities. We even do an All Hallows jam that's more like themed around Halloween and that type of community. But there's a number of cool jams in our community. Actually, I was at a junk jam this weekend, which was more like taking old gear and technology and making it into new things using even simulation or coding. So there's lots of cool events in our area to get involved in if you would like to learn more, okay? So now we're gonna get ready to introduce the amazing Carolina Cruz-Neira. She's a pioneering force in immersive technology. She is one of the world's most respected innovators in XR. She is in the XR Hall of Fame. I was able to witness that. She's also been in the Hall of Fame for this National Center for Simulation. And she's the executive director at UCF's newly launched Pegasus Research Institute. She's the interim director for the Institute for Simulation and Training, which if anybody's heard of Research Park, that is all everything she manages there, which is pretty incredible. She has a bold vision that unifies research, industry, and the next generation of creators. Her work continually inspires those of us building the future to think bigger, collaborate deeply, and to keep people at the heart of every breakthrough. So I'd love to introduce Dr. Carolina Cruz.
Typically, when there are young people that come to me and say, oh, I really want to get into modeling and simulation, but you know, I'm from Florida, all my family's here, and I really don't necessarily want to pursue that career because then I'm going to have to move to California because that's where all the tech stuff happens. So let's talk about that because you don't have to move. If you want to stay here, you are going to be able to stay here because we live in Central Florida. So Central Florida at this moment is the global headquarters, if you will, of modeling and simulation. That's where the biggest concentration of that work from academic programs, from research programs, to companies, to activity. It actually happens on that tiny little band of land from the Suncoast, Tampa, Sarasota, St. Petersburg, that area, coming through Orlando, going all the way to the coast on the other side, Titusville, Cocoa Beach, of course, where Kennedy Space Center is. And what is really neat, UCF is the primary academic and research anchor of that activity. So we are right in the middle of it. So as you guys are looking at your career path, you know, going from your high school program to the Orange Technical College and hopefully moving on to a full degree, consider UCF because that's where the mover and shakers are. So one of the things that UCF has been doing most recently is looking at, you know, where the world is today and where the world is going and how we can continue being relevant and exciting for the upcoming generations, which means you guys, you know. How do we educate you? How do we form you so you become the next generation? I don't like to use the word leaders because leaders is kind of overrated nowadays, but you know, the next generation of movers and shakers, or the next generation that is rock and roll in the world, okay? So how do we make you very valuable, marketable, that people actually fight to get you in there? So to get us there, you'll probably see more and more coming out of us. We are focusing on 5 main areas. All our programs, even if you go to the art programs, even if you go to the humanity programs, all those programs revolve about these 5 topics. So we are prioritizing, of course, space. Space is back on the global stage as a priority. So we have a very different race to space now that we have in the 1960s. On the 1960s, the race was, let's put a man in the moon. Today's race is very different. And I think for you guys, it's a huge opportunity because today's race is how do we exploit space? How do we make money in space? Who's the first space billionaire? Might be you guys, I don't know. How do we exploit resources? How do we bring minerals? How do we bring other things from space to Earth? So it's a very, very different race. Because of that reason, the range of opportunities is huge that we have. Because that takes me to the next thing, which is another topic that we have at UCF, which is things that had to do with entertainment, interactive media. So when we think about interactive media, the first thing that we think is what? Video games. All of you that have the video game glamorous concept in idea, which by the way was, the video gaming industry is cutthroat. It's really, you know, it's not my thing at all. We of course train you to do video games, but it is a very hard industry nowadays. It's working around the clock all the time, lots and lots of pressure, lots and lots of deadlines. And also, what sometimes breaks everybody's heart when you go into the video game industry, you think you're gonna go and work for a video game company and work on the game. You're gonna have a lot of say on the next game. You don't, because you are gonna go and you're the same thing as a manufacturing line. You're gonna be on a digital manufacturing line for the game. So if your job is to make the eyelashes of all the characters look like eyelashes, guess what? You're gonna spend 3 years doing eyelashes, and that's all you're gonna do, okay? If somebody else's job is to make the rocks look like rocks in the video game, you're gonna spend 3 years doing rocks. You're not gonna spend your time figure out how to play the game, how to make it more exciting. It's very, very manufacturing line. So just be aware of that when you want to go there. However, as we look at entertainment at UCF, we look at a way past that. We are looking at, how do we actually make life better through these entertainment technologies? We have programs that teach you how to design the amazing rides that you see on the parks, but also we're starting to evolve to figure out, how do we entertain people when we are not on Earth? For example, if we are gonna go to Mars, we need to keep those astronauts entertained. If we are gonna start doing tourism, travel to space, if we're gonna end up sending people for a weekend, we're gonna launch, we're gonna go in orbit, we're gonna go around the moon, and we're gonna come back. How do we do all that? So how do we design, in a sense, the hotels in space, the food in space, the entertainment? Kind of think about cruise ships, but for space. So those are new programs that we have at UCF. We're also looking at healthcare in a complete different manner. So what is the healthcare on Earth? How do we evolve the way we do doctors, we do nurses, we do mental health clinicians, but also how do we handle healthcare in space? If you are out of the Earth for a week, for a month, for a year, how do we take care of those people way out there? So we actually just opened the first degree, the first program on space medicine in the country, which is, I think, pretty cool. We also have one of the first programs on hospitality on space and things like that. The world also is moving in a direction that we need to worry about energy. We're all power consumers. Everything is power. Everything is electronic. And it's frustrating when we run out of power, which it always happens. In the more critical moment of your daily life, your phone runs out of battery. And what happens? I don't know how to drive myself back because my GPS is not working because my cell phone doesn't have battery. So I'm handicapped. I cannot even look at a paper map because I don't even know how to look at those things. So trying to figure out how to get energy generated in a more efficient manner, transported where it needs to be used. Also, how do we design new technology that is not so energy consuming and energy bound and all that? That's one of our very strong programs at UCF. And then, of course, as a university, we also had to give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room because we don't really know what's coming on the pipeline. So our fifth area of focus at UCF is, we call it transforming technologies, which is basically whatever comes, we'll deal with it. We've been hit by AI in the last 5 or 6 years. So now we have very, very rapidly evolving strong AI programs. Whatever is coming, quantum is coming, so we are starting to have programs in quantum that fall in that box. So things of that nature. So UCF, because it's relatively young university, is trying to be very dynamic and quickly evolving to serve you guys, basically. Now, on the academic side, as well as on the research. So we have a lot of programs that educate you on these arenas. Also, for example, if some of you are interested in the humanities, even things like our rhetoric program, if you want to be a writer in the future, our rhetoric program is actually one of the leading AI rhetoric departments in the nation. So how do you balance AI with your creative writing? How do you maintain your individuality as a creative writer, but still capitalize on the current tools like AI and so on. So there's a lot of technology injected in our humanity programs and arts programs as well. So going back to why do I maybe want to stay in Florida, here is a little bit of what's going on. So right now, here in Central Florida, around UCF, we have something called the Research Park, which is where a lot of industries reside in there. So at this moment, Orlando generates about $8 billion a year on modeling and simulation business. That's very comparative to what the Silicon Valley is doing, okay? So you don't have to go to California, you don't want to. You can stay in Florida and have a very, very successful career in modeling and simulation. We house a lot of the large industries, you know, like the Lockheed Martins, the Siemens, Northrop Grumman, L3 Harris, Leidos, all those kinds of companies. But there's also a very rapidly growing number of startup companies that are addressing a lot of aspects of modeling and simulation. We also have pretty much every branch of the military has a headquarters here in Orlando. So we have Army, we have Air Force, we have Navy, we have a Space Force, we have Marines. We also have other agencies like NSA, Homeland Security, and several others. So it's all very condensed and concentrated here in Orlando. Maybe not publicly well known about that. And then going back to UCF, another thing that is going on at UCF, I have the privilege of have been appointed to be the executive director of a brand new institute that is being developed that is going to, in a sense, be the orchestrator of all these things. So we're going to try to put together knowledge teams to do more exciting programs, academic programs, more exciting research programs, and become a stronger resource for all these communities. So it's kind of fun. So currently, I'm the director of the Institute of Simulation and Training, so I'm the director of 2 institutes. I don't even know how I do that, but I'm dealing with it. So this is one of the oldest research institutes at UCF, and it was created in response of the needs to the space and defense growing industries here in Orlando back in the, I don't know, 1980s or something like that. So been around for a long time. And I was kidding earlier to the other group, you know, we are an old institute, but at the same time, we're a very young institute because all our members are you guys. So as you come through the academic programs, you join the institute. So as people, they're all very young people because you guys come and go. You know, you come, you stay with us 4 or 5 years, get your degrees, and move on. Some of you stay longer because you might pursue your graduate degree. So some of you might stay with us as much as 10 years because you get your undergraduate, your master's, and maybe your PhD. But typically, most of our population is under 30 years old. So it's a very young, dynamic team of people. There are people like me, you know, we got to stay because somebody has to keep the things running a little longer term. But even as we refuse to get old, so here I am trying to get my hip replaced, but I'm standing up, tightening my tummy and holding the pain because I gotta be here with you guys today. You know, so we refuse, the age is just a number. So anyway, we do a lot of things in all these areas that I mentioned. So we work a lot in space, we work a lot in defense, we work a lot in healthcare, and many other industries. We do have, and I'll show you some images, very cool laboratories to do a lot of interesting work. So we have a lot of visual displays, we have a lot of computing infrastructure, we have a lot of gadgetry, if you will, in there. And most recently, in the Institute, we have been leading what is called the Digital Twin Initiative, which is when in the world of simulation, you know, simulation, what is simulation? You have to explain simulation to somebody that don't know what it is. What is it? Camera guys, I'm going to put you on the spot. What is simulation?
It's a fake experience.
Don't you think I didn't notice? You've been chit-chatting with your camera instead of listening to me. All right.
It's so cool, you don't understand.
What?
The camera is so
I know, I'm a photographer too, so I think it's pretty cool. So what's simulation? Explain simulation.
Simulation is like a representation of something fake.
It's representation of something fake. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go because this is fun. Yes, you're off the hook, but leave the cameras rest for a little bit. Yeah.
To show off information or I guess a scenario through a different medium, like digitally or
Digitally, that's the key. So simulation is actually basically trying to get a physical phenomena and try to make it work in a computer, plain and simple. You know, I'm trying to simulate the weather. So weather is a physical phenomena, and I'm gonna run weather in a computer so I can do a prediction if a hurricane is gonna be very bad or not so bad, it's gonna hit us, it's not gonna hit us. So within simulation, there is this other part of simulation that is called modeling. So modeling means I have a real life phenomena, I have a real life situation, I have to create a mathematical model, a mathematical representation that defines the physics that guide that real life phenomena or event that I'm trying to simulate. So that's what modeling and simulation is. So it's trying to get real life into a computer through some kind of mathematical expression. That's the bottom line of what we do, okay? So now you hear more and more about digital twins. So digital twins is sort of the bucket where everything comes together. So you get your models and your simulations, but now you also have been hearing more and more about IoTs, which is Internet of Things. So what that really means is now we have all kinds of sensors that captures real life information, typically on the fly. You have cameras, surveillance cameras that are looking at things. You have temperature sensors. You have water sensors that is telling you levels of something. You have sensors that measure how many cars are going through a street, all kinds of things. You have sensors on your body that is telling you your heart rate, your temperature, how tired you are, all those kinds of things. So digital twin is with all those things come together, and we can do a much more sophisticated representation of the physical world inside the computer. It's an area that is growing very, very quickly, and again, UCF is becoming one of the lead groups in the world, and I have the privilege to be the person that is leading that inside at UCF. For you, it's relevant because, again, that is guiding the definition of new academic programs, new research programs, new jobs that are coming out into the market of people that know how to put things together. So, and that is coming because the world today has a lot of challenges. We are very interconnected. There's another thing that's really funny that happens, and you'll see that when you start getting more engaged in college. We have to be at the same time competitive, and we have to collaborate. It's really weird. So as an industry, you have your competitors, but at the same time, you have to be partnered with your own competitors. So the world is weird right now. And it's all for us, the people that do a lot of modeling simulation, that we have to figure out with industry many times, okay, this particular part that we can work with you, this is competitive, so let's just do it just with you. This particular part of this problem in modeling simulation is more collaborative, so let's call your competitors and have them chip in to help us solve this problem. So it's kind of challenging. I don't have to tell you there's a lot of instability all the times we see on the news, world events that change course of where we are going. So we have to be very, very agile to pivot and adjust, and even somebody at my level that I've been a professional for almost 40 years, still today I need to pivot, because if I do things the way I used to do them just 3 years ago, I can guarantee you I won't be here, I'll be out of a job. I really have to be on my toes all the time. That's a little bit challenge for you. The other thing that is coming your way is complexity. The world is very complexity because of those interrelations and interconnections that are coming. And I'll show you in a moment that complexity. So, and then on top of that, we're being told all the time that we have to innovate in a disruptive manner, whatever that means. You know, I think I've been very disruptive since I was very, very young, but it turns out I'm disruptive now. I do disruptive innovation now. But when I did disruptive innovation 30 years ago, I was just an innovator. So go get it, I don't know. It's just, it's just a keyword. So all this is gonna come together through this world of digital twin, which is the core of modeling and simulation for you guys. So let's look at this quickest scenario right now. We are here in Central Florida, and I'm hoping we all want to continue being here in Central Florida. So if we look at the future for Central Florida, we have to, at least the way we think about it, you know, Central Florida, in a sense, is a model for the entire world. It's a very, very complex, tiny part of the world where we have pretty much everything that is going on at a global scale happens here in Florida, okay? So the first thing that we have in Florida is we have gorgeous nature. We have salt water, we have sweet water, we have marshes, we have beaches, we have forests, we have all kinds of things. And when that's in there, what are we all trying to do? Preserve it, you know? We don't want Central Florida to become a slab of concrete. So we want to figure out how do we evolve, how do we become, let's say, modern, how do we innovate, but we don't kill our beautiful nature. Another element that happens at the same time is we are actually a very fast-growing urban part of the United States. I was telling the group before you, there are today, November 2025, we have 1,500 families relocating to Orlando every week from all over the country. Just think about that. 1,500 families a week. That number was about 7,000 a week during COVID. So it has slowed down a little since COVID, but it still is 1,500 new families. That's mom, dad, 2, 3 kids, the dogs, the cats, and 2, 3 more cars, all that kind of stuff. They're coming here. That's huge, guys, because now we have to grow our city, and that's why you see, you drive around Orlando, there is always construction. There is always going on construction. There is new apartment buildings, there is more roads, there is extensions to I-4. There is a lot more traffic jams. Everything becomes locked sometimes of the day that it's impossible to go from one place to the other. But it also happens, again, on that band from coast to coast. It's happening in Tampa, it's happening in Cocoa Beach, it's happening in Vero Beach, it's happening in Sarasota, in St. Petersburg. It's that whole bar. So right now we have almost, in a sense, 2 conflicting environments. We, of course, have the visitor ecosystem. We have 2 constantly growing, for example, cruise ships ports. We have the one in by Titusville, and we have the one in Tampa. Of course, we have all the amusement parks. We have the beaches. We have a very big and very active convention center. I've been coming, just as a tidbit of trivia for you guys, I've been coming to the Orlando Convention Center since 1991. Not even your parents were probably born at that time. So my first public big show was at the Orlando Convention Center in 1991. So, and of course it's growing much more than that. And I'm gonna tell you why that's important, the visitor ecosystem, in a minute. Of course, the other thing that happens here in Florida, a lot of space activity, like it's not happening anywhere else in the country. But we also have a lot of cargo-related activity because we are, of course, the gateway from Europe and Africa and all that. And we have a lot of defense activity going on here. And then finally, the other element that we have here is our gorgeous weather that once in a while give us issues with hurricanes and lightning storms and all that kind of thing. Now, why is this important? Why am I telling you this, especially being interested in modeling and simulation? blank stares. Yes? The what? There are opportunities to do some modeling, yes. Okay, I saw an arm somewhere. Guys, with all this noise, my geriatric ears don't hear you. Exactly. So when I talk about all this, what does it mean for you guys? Opportunity. All of this for you is an opportunity. Why is an opportunity? Because we don't have models and simulations that put all this together. We have a model and a simulation of weather. We have a model and a simulation of traffic. We have a model and a simulation of how to launch a rocket. But we don't have all together. And that's a huge problem. That's 15, 20, 25 years into the future. Research opportunities, business opportunities, leadership opportunities for all of you. We talked a little bit about AI with the group before you. My position on AI is that there is no intelligence in AI. It should not be called AI because it's a misleading term. I know the younger generations worry very much about AI because you feel it's going to take your jobs and you're not going to have a future. Let me tell you one more time, there is no intelligence in artificial intelligence. Now, what that does mean to you? Artificial intelligence is very good to reshuffle knowledge. So it's very good to accelerate your intelligence, but it's not to replace your intelligence, okay? Because artificial intelligence cannot create, cannot develop new knowledge. Artificial intelligence can help you to manage existing knowledge. And it's okay, there will be certain jobs, yes, routine jobs, probably will disappear with artificial intelligence. Jobs where ingenuity is not part of the job, most likely will not be around. But as I was telling to the group before you, we already have gone through that as a civilization. When I went to college, when I was in high school, when I went to college, the internet didn't exist, guys. I mean, I'm really that old. I grew up in a world without internet, without cell phones. So I had to do a class assignment. It would take me weeks to do it because I had to walk physically to the library. I had to get on the front desk of the library. I had to physically browse through all the cards, looking possible books that I could use as a reference to do my homework. I had to walk through the library floors and aisles and all that, finding the books, carrying the books somewhere, page through all those books until I found what I wanted, then realized that the books that I picked were not giving me the information that I wanted. Then I had to start the process all over again. I couldn't take it home, so I had to sit in the library until 2, 3 in the morning to get the darn homework done. And by the time I was finished, it could be weeks. Now, the internet came, the web came, Google came, and now, boom, I can do that in 30 minutes or less. What it used to take me days and days and days. Now, that technology, yes, has taken jobs away already, because there was a lot of jobs that support the physicality of getting information that it went away. Because now you can do that from the comfort of not even your home, your cell phone, okay? So AI is gonna bring a change like that, but it's not gonna displace humans. Yep.
I feel like you're in an epidemic right now of AI doing almost everything, AI singing. It's going to take away jobs from real people that can sing, and there's nothing we can really do about that.
To some extent, yes, but like all technologies, we are on that process of being enamored by the technology, making the technology being very glamorous. And unfortunately, I've seen that, again, I'm old enough that I've seen those cycles 2 or 3 times already. And there's a lot of misinformation that is coming from the press. The press likes to glamorize a lot of this, okay? And unfortunately, it's empowering the perception of what AI can do by providing these press glamour about it, okay? Yes, it can sing. However, it cannot provide the emotional element that a natural singer will do to the song, okay? And yes, you can make it somewhat randomize the singing, so it can sing a little, I don't know, a little tiny higher pitch one time or another, but I don't know how to explain that. It doesn't have that human element. Now, it's not gonna sing if there is a different way of singing that we never seen before, which it happens sometimes. You have a brand new singer, like you see American, what is the show? American Idol or whatever it's called. You know, once in a while there is a singer that blows everybody away because it has a voice that we never heard before, a pitch that we never heard before, a style of doing it that we never heard that before. That's never gonna happen with AI. It's gonna continue reshuffling how we know. All the way we sang is gonna reshuffle it, and it's gonna reshuffle it very well. Yes, what?
So you don't think AI is at all capable of creating new ideas that haven't already been created?
No,
Well, not yet. I mean, in the last...
no, 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 no. The way we do it today, no. Because it resorts information and adds a statistical priority to the resorting of the information.
Generative AI, or what concept?
Generative AI, yes, that's a perfect example.
It generates new...
No, no. I'll tell you why no. Give me a second. Generative AI, we were talking about that earlier. Generative AI, I'm gonna go to Midjourney or whatever it is you guys use, and I'm gonna say, I put on the prompt, please give me the most beautiful cat on earth, all right? And boom, brings me a kitty, beautiful kitty. Sometimes, it gives me a kitty that has a tail sticking out of the ear. It's a gorgeous kitty, but it has a tail sticking out of the ear. Why? Because it doesn't understand what a cat is. It doesn't understand the concept of a cat. It knows that a cat has to look like in a certain way because it has reshuffled thousands and millions of cat images. And then it makes a statistical pixel mush.
Isn't that how a human brain works?
No, we don't know how the human brain works, but certainly doesn't work that way. I can tell you that.
The human brain works on like existing information that you're aware of and then trying to combine everything you know and making the best version of that?
If that's the way the human brain will work, the American government will not have dedicated $100 billion to figure out how the brain works, because we don't know.
So I think we're about to switch, so maybe just like one.
Okay, all right. Because, I mean, AI, we're going to have to do some special talks on AI here and there because, again, the press is empowering AI way beyond it can do, okay? AI, there is something, and you guys can look at that. Look at the area called explainable AI and AI and uncertainty. If you really want to understand AI. Again, don't take me wrong. It's a very good technology. I use it all the time. It helps me tremendously. It's amazing. But there is a big but. It is not 100% trustable.
I get it.
The way we do it today, no. Now, maybe you might come back with a new way to do AI. I know you desperately want to ask me something, real quick.
Worried about generative AI being used for like fake news or...
Of course. It's a huge danger. Well, that one maybe. I'm very scared, and I talk about this all over the world, what some companies are doing today, using generative AI to generate source code, software code. Because if that goes into a pacemaker, I don't want that pacemaker. If that goes into the automated flying controls of an airplane, I don't want that code, because I've seen the code that AI generates. Again, 80% of the time, if it's for a website, fantastic code. If it's mission critical code, it doesn't understand the mission. So it gives you something that looks like the thing, but it's not the thing. So again, for you guys, it's opportunity. Maybe, again, you guys come up with a different way to do AI that give us more sensitive. But there is a lot of controversial in the research world of how much trustability the public is putting in AI, and it's starting to spill over industry. Again, very good technology, very powerful, but there is always a B-U-T, but on it, yes.
Another big thing is how AI, if you say how it reshuffles things, it doesn't understand concepts.
Exactly. Doesn't know.
What things are, it just sees like tags,
It sees patterns.
sections of images in code, and it stitches them together. So if you ask it to do something, especially more complicated things, it doesn't always understand how it pieces them together, especially when you mention code. It's
Yeah.
not the best at code right now.
No.
You try to stitch things together, but it won't know all of the intricacies and all of the, like, not niche, but like
Yeah.
small parts that
Exactly.
human learn by doing.
And understanding that as you guys get more into the world of model simulation is what is going to make you a very rock solid professional. Again, use it. I'm not saying don't use it. Use it. Leverage its value. But don't blindly accept everything that it comes out of it, because you're going to die with a cat with a tail sticking out the ear. But it's driving your pacemaker. Just keep that in mind.